This week, we look at exact match domains and partial match domains versus branded domains. Which one is better for you? Let's have an honest conversation about this thing. It's not as cut and dry as everyone makes it seem. Hey everyone, Clint Butler here, and welcome to SEO This Week. So, not very much news going on, as you guys can imagine. I mean, there's a lot of, I think it's kind of a good thing for our industry if all hell's breaking loose and everyone's talking and blabbing and making all kinds of stuff up. When things are calm and quiet, it means Google and the Google sphere is calm and quiet, and that's always good and positive for everybody. So, but that being said, a lot of questions during these kind of times come up repeatedly. And I mean over and over and over and over again. And it's not that old SEOs are asking the same questions or people are fighting the same fights. It's more that there's a lot of new people coming into the SEO space, new SEOs and new business owners. And they have these questions that have perplexed previous business owners before. So, I mean, like in the case of the topic today, do we choose a domain name that has our keyword in it, or do we choose a branded domain? Do we want a branded domain instead? And so when we approach that as SEOs, we kind of forget that there's always new people coming into the space, and it's totally fine. It's kind of how that happens. It's fresh blood, fresh ideas, intermixed with the old blood and the stubborn mules who don't like testing, and the people who like testing, and then the black hat stuff, and you bring it all together, and all these people are exposed, and new stuff comes up. So it's always good. So when we talk about expire or exact match domains, I don't know why I keep saying expired, versus branded, it's really, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. It's not even, I mean, it can be an SEO decision, but at the end of the day, it's really a business decision. So a lot of people cite, oh, look at Amazon, look at Google. They don't use exact match domains. They have these brands, and you should be branded just like them. The Yelps, the Home Advisors, the Angie's Lists, and all that. But you also have to keep in mind that not all of us are representing or looking to build a multi-billion-dollar company. I think Google closed out at $236 billion this year or last year from Google Ads. That's their profit. So when people recommend that business owners make decisions like those companies, I mean, you're not being realistic at all, right? So if you're a plumber and you're looking to start your own plumbing business, you want to get away from the organization that you're in someone else's business, and you want to build your own, and you want to go out and build your own name. Your aspirations to be Google or the size of Google is probably not there. I mean, maybe you have aspirations to create a plumbing franchise at some time and be the next Roto-Rooter. Then you would think brand. That's how you would pick your name. You pick your name and the branding. But in the beginning, you kind of need all the leg ups that you can, especially in the digital marketing space. And a couple of those leg ups is just more money to spend on marketing, and PPC and Google Guarantee or a couple of those things where you're going to invest some money in order to keep the leads going. That's kind of the way it is. And then you have SEO, and you have social media ads, probably not so much. I mean, I don't know that I've ever looked on social media ads when my toilet was broken, unless I was getting retargeted or something. But I never seen those. I never seen the roof replacement ads on social media. I never seen the landscaper ads on social media unless I was in a local group or a community marketplace kind of thing. For the most part, you're looking at Google search, Bing search, and maybe DuckDuckGo search, and PPC stuff. So PPC and organic. Now you're a brand new plumber and you have to start a brand new website and you got bills to pay and you are, you just quit your job because you want to do bigger and better things and start your own business and you need a leg up. And so in the SEO perspective, the leg up means choosing the domain name that has your keyword in it, either exact match or partial match. Because we can all look in the search engines, and that's what they're ranking. Google and Bing are ranking exact match and partial match. It's like the number one ranking factor almost. It's not clearly, but it appears that way. Like you should have a partial match and if best possible the exact match for that primary search term you're going for. And a lot of people kind of poo-poo that. They're like, "Oh no, you should do branding." And they're not entirely wrong. And here's one of the downfalls of picking an exact match when you're first starting out. If you pick an exact match that is targeting a smaller area, and you want to, you're going to expand upon that area, you need to pick an exact match for the bigger one. Example. I was at when I first started Digitaleer, I started it under the brand Olympia SEO. I wanted to target the capital of Washington. So the city of Olympia, and then you have Tacoma, Lacey, Lakewood. They're all kind of in this general vicinity. So Olympia SEO kind of made it. And there was a lot of businesses inside of the city of Olympia. Not as many as I thought there was, but there's a lot of businesses there. And so I picked Olympia SEO. I didn't have to do a whole lot of SEO onto the website at the time, and I was number one. The OlympiaSEO.net was some guy who lived in Texas, and he had the .net, I believe it was. And there's a couple other people with partial matches, but for the most part, Olympia SEO. I was there, and that worked. I mean, it was instant. I got some leads right off the bat. I was able to kick off and grow Digitaleer to where I did it. The downside is my domain name was Olympia SEO. So when I wanted to move and capture people from Seattle, I was having a hard time doing that. And because I had Olympia SEO and then / Seattle SEO, and Google's like, huh, this is weird. I was able to rank in Seattle. But I never ranked high. And it was because of that exact match domain. It was kind of hurting me. And the other thing that can get you is you have an exact match domain and you're building backlinks, and even naturally or not, if people link to your website, Olympia SEO, that's your brand, Olympia SEO, and it happens to also be your exact match anchor text. And then Penguin gets all googly weird, even if you're building, even if those are natural links and those are regular people just building links to you, that can give you a little bit of drama. So these are the things you got to take those into account when you're picking a brand name for SEO purposes. So if I was doing it today and I was in a business in Houston, and Houston is ginormous, I would actually go with like a Houston SEO. And the reason is because Houston is ginormous. And there's so many neighborhoods and so many businesses and stuff, and I could probably as an SEO dedicate myself to the city of Houston and be more than happy and grow a decent sized agency out of that. But if I was looking to expand into Austin and San Antonio and Corpus Christi and Dallas Fort Worth and Fort Worth, and Waco, etc., I would choose something broader, and that would probably be Texas SEO company, just because it sticks me in there, and I can get in and build a brand faster, or at least build a name for myself faster, because I'm leveraging a little bit of the bonuses that Google gives to exact match and partial match. Now, after that's already done, then I would make the decision to go ahead and switch over to a brand. And that's what I did with Olympia SEO. I switched over and created a brand, Digitaleer. And Digitaleer is, I can rank that much easier. Like I've transitioned from Olympia and Bellevue down to Arizona, and the rankings are coming up in Arizona pretty quickly without all that much work, because I have a brand, and the transition from one locale to another makes it a little bit easier. So I can do Washington, Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, and New Mexico, and be totally cool doing that on a Digitaleer, versus if I had kept Olympia SEO, then it probably wouldn't work. As a matter of fact, I know it wouldn't work. It's just with my experiences with Seattle. So that's So if you're a local business owner, or if you're an SEO giving that recommendation, should I choose a partial match versus an exact match versus a branding? You need to have these questions ready. One, are you planning on franchising out? You want to grow really big and then franchise your brand name? Most people are going to say no. Are you planning on servicing another area far away from here? Like, are you going to make another office in, like here I'm in Yuma, do we make another one in Tucson and another one in Phoenix? If the answer is no, you're still good. You can go with exact match, partial match. And then three is, how aggressive with your SEO are you wanting to be? And this one is really probably at the end of the day, it's probably the most important question, because when you think about Penguin and the application of Penguin, you have to be a little bit more careful with your backlink anchor text choices because of the exact match thing. And it's not your fault that that's the way it is. And it's the fact of the matter is, exact match anchors and backlinks used to be essentially the #1 ranking factor. You build a page and then send 1,000 backlinks to it with the exact match anchor, and Google says you won, ta-da. And Penguin was designed to fix that. It's not as sensitive as people make it out to be, but you can get in a little bit of trouble if you're not careful with it either, right? So you have the answer to those three questions, and then you can make a bona fide recommendation as to what is what you should be doing, and what or a client should be doing with their domain choice. More often than not, unless you're the business owner, though, it's already too late. They've already chosen these things. So keep this video in mind, especially for business owners. It's mainly who this is for. It's for people who are you're cash rich right now. There's a lot of money floating around in the U.S. That's why the prices are going up, is because there's like free money everywhere for now. And once that runs out, all that money, all those prices are going to go down, but your comfort is all going to go down too, right? So now's a good time to actually start investing in a business and making a business venture. And that's where these domain name things, you got to kind of pick that up and be ready to roll with it. So John Mueller actually did give a hold on. Yeah, there you go. Pushed the wrong button. And they had a conversation, and it was actually in Reddit. And so that's what brought on this topic, is John Mueller was in Reddit. But the question here in the article is actually not exact match over partial match. It's actually TLD. So in this case, .com versus .design versus .net, does that matter? And the people in the thread, and you can see the entire thread. I linked to it. Never even brought up the fact that that's what the question he was asking. They were all honed in on this exact match versus partial match keyword thing, and they never even paid attention to the TLD thing until at the time that I read the thread is like the last person caught on and picked it up. And he was, and even him didn't really make a sound, an attested observation of what was going on. So I wanted to point out a test that we did in early 2020 where we tested the TLDs. We tested ICU, top, XYZ, site, club, online, VIP, com.net.org, co.uk, blah, blah, blah. So we tested all of these, and we bought it, and we did this for a Bill Hartzer, who was giving this presentation at a White Hat SEO conference with a bunch of domainers. And it was really, really enlightening. So the short version, you can see this color chart here is essentially the placement of where these TLDs landed. And all of the yellows up there are all the .net. So the .net beat the .com almost exclusively. There's two here where the .com's won, but you can see almost exclusively it was the .net. So based off of this information, if I was going to start a new, let's say a new affiliate website, I would actually just start it with the .net and kind of get my love off of that early on. Google's going to trust it more, or for whatever reason, it just favors .nets, then .coms, and then what's this blue one here? Can't read it. .nets, .coms. These are XYZs. Oh, there's .club. Yeah, the .club and the XYZs came next, and the XYZs are kind of all over the place. And this blue one is. Geez, I must be blind. Top. Do I have top on it? Yeah, there it is. It's top, which is, it's interesting in how all this stuff laid out. So, but there's probably how I would go about doing a brand new site right now. I'm not doing a brand new site right now, but you can see that the .nets typically they're cheaper unless it's a primary broad term like bookings.net. You might have little problems finding that cheaper. But to answer this poster's question is there you go. The TLDs actually do matter, and it has been tested, and you can say that you should probably look towards the .net. The counter argument that I hear a lot is, well, most people are used to .com. And that's true. Most people are used to .com, but as the money is shifting over from Gen Xers into the millennials, guess what? Millennials are the first people that have grown up having this technology in their hands. So they're used to .nets, and they're used to .coms, and they're used to new TLDs, and they're used to leveraging that stuff. They're not just Gen Xers who think, oh, what is it? BillandBobsHouse.com. You just automatically assume .com. Millennials aren't like that. They don't automatically assume that, and their kids as well won't automatically assume .com, so you can actually start messing with these other TLDs. But really, you got to just figure out which one that Google is caught on to, right? And .net, .org, .com, or XYZs are all doing really, really well. I don't think we tested. Yeah, .info wasn't in here, but .info. I think we tested that once before in a head-to-head. .com versus .info, and .com beat the hell out of .info, and I think it's because at one point in time, .infos were really spammed to all hell. And so you want to just keep that in mind in your domain selection. You can see the chart here. You're probably going to have to do what I did and zoom in and read it, but just, I'll give you the Reader's Digest version, .net, .com, and then TL, and then some XYZs and tops in there is kind of the choice. Now, when we get into John Mueller answering this question, he didn't really address the question, as I mentioned in the beginning. But he did talk about picking domain names with the exact match versus the partial match and some of the hassles that go along with it. And he's not saying, a lot of people will read this and go, oh, John Mueller is saying you choose branded over partial match or exact match for SEO reasons. He's not saying that at all. He's giving you the same scenario that I gave you, that I had with Olympia SEO versus Digitaleer, is branding over exact match and targeting, and you're limiting yourself when you do that, intentionally or unintentionally. So you have to balance the SEO benefits versus the brand benefits, and looking at your projected growth in 5 to 10 years. 5 to 10 years, you should be looking out and going, I am never leaving Yuma, Arizona, and I am only going to be a plumber in Yuma, Arizona, and I'm not moving my business out of Yuma, Arizona. Then YumaPlumbing is probably, YumaPlumbing.net is probably the way you want to go, right? But if you're like, I'm going to go to Yuma and then I want to build another office in Tucson and another one in Phoenix, then maybe Arizona Plumbing is the way to go. Or a brand, like a Roto-Rooter type, image brand for your plumbing business. That's kind of how you want to go. So we tested exact matches versus partial matches versus branded domains, and the exact matches and partial matches always outranked the branded domains, always, in multiple tests. So to say that they don't matter for SEO is incorrect. They do matter for SEO. But as I said, just kind of balance out what the hell you're doing versus setting up the brand name. I'll look at that and look at it in the future. And that's the case for Google and Bing. Bing is even more geared towards exact match and partial match than Google is. But Bing also shows, in my experience, on average, less directories than Google does. So you actually get a little bit more representation from local businesses, real local businesses in the area, in the Bing search results than you do from Google. It's more, let's show some more directories, and those directories are going to show Google ads, and then we'll show Google ads, and then it increases the amount of revenue that Google makes because we're favoring these Google ad stuff. And if you, I don't know if you watched, what was it? May's update? I want to say the middle of 2020. Google at some point had damn near every directory on page 1 for most local searches. There was not a local business representation inside of Google. And the CTR for page 1 actually started going over to page 2 because people were tired of going to a search engine to find another search engine in order to go find what they're looking for. So they went to page 2, which was where Google was actually showing real local businesses. And then Google updated it again. And now there's a little less directories, and there's more of a mix between directories and real local businesses. And that's just the kind of indicator of users guiding how much Google is going to be allowed to push that envelope in regards to the organic results and doing that. So the why it's significant is on page 1 you have the maps, you have all the ads, you maybe have some people also ask, you have a couple extra featured snippets that show up on page 1, and that increases the CTR for all the ad stuff. When you go over to page 2, the ads are still there, but all those featured snippets and stuff tend to go away. Google doesn't show those on those page 2s, so their ad CTR goes down. That's why users clicking on page 2 to get there is not bad is bad for Google and their CTR. They could care less about the actual user having to do the search and then click to page 2. What they care about is they're actually going there, doing the search and moving the page 2 because all their and now their ads and stuff aren't being clicked. And they're going to page 2 because they're looking for real businesses, and the directory stuff was pushing them out of there. And then and you look in who's making it. It's generally a mix of exact match, partial match, and brand that are making it into the search results. So the brand names in the keywords or the keywords in the domain aren't the only factor, but they are a significant helper when pushing you along that route. So hopefully that blah, blah, blah made some sense to all of you folks. If you're new, ask yourself those questions. Are you going to expand? Do you have a desire to move to bigger areas? Are you going to franchise your business out, or and then what is your risk tolerance level when it comes to SEO? So, in so much as people who link to you naturally are going to send you exact match, and who knows, Google Penguin may back off a little bit, or they may get a little bit stringent, and you just have to be careful with that stuff when you're building this stuff out. So that's all I had this week. I was going to do a walkthrough of Rank Gear again to do the news article, but I'm going to do a separate video on that because I want to actually rank it for some keywords. So we're going to do, I'll publish that probably tomorrow, or walk through my schema for a web page. And this web page will have an article, and that article will be a news article, and Rank Gear was all fixed from last week. And so I'll show that, then I'll save the templates in Rank Gear, and you guys get to see all that, and then we'll try to rank that video too, as part of just kind of our walk along series with SEO this week. And with that, it's almost time to go to publisher.google.com and set up this site. So if you don't have it, just go to publisher.google.com. We're going to go add publication, and then SEO this week is where we're going to put it, and primary document. I'm going to drop it right here, and United States. There you go. Certify as principal. Add publication. So you get your publication in there. That's pretty easy. But then we got to fill out all these publication sections and all that stuff. I'll walk you through some of this. Probably next week. There's a logo thing. I got to make sure that I pull the logo out of my Photoshop thing and make it the right size. I want to get that done. I want to verify that the feeds are working and stuff. These are all things that I know that are coming up. And then next week, I'll walk you through submitting to Google News. I think we're ready. We got enough content and stuff. All I have to really do on the design is get the sidebar so we can do some ad stuff in here to kind of monetize the website. Well, once that's done, it will be pretty much all set to go ahead and improve. Oh, and I got to change some of the menu stuff. I don't have like podcast. I decided I'm not even going to do that. Or link to it. Maybe I'll link to. We'll see. I got to pull the audio out and upload it into Apple. But the blog is essentially the homepage. Do I really need that? About us and content us, not filled out. So I got to fill those out before I submit to, just in case it gets a manual review. I want to make sure that those are right. And then I'm probably going to bring like the recommended tools up. So instead of podcast, blog, recommended tools, instead of about us and contact us, and that'll the about us and contact us will stay down here. And that'll make things a whole lot better, I think, in my opinion. So that's how this project is going. I could look at the traffic. Why the hell not? I'll look at the traffic with you guys. See, you guys can see how much traffic this site's getting. Let me switch here first. I don't want you seeing all my projects. Come on. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Bam. All right, so there's the traffic. This is all natural stuff. So see it's kind of died down here. Most of the traffic is coming from Facebook. Let's see. Yeah, direct organic social. So most of my stuff is coming from Facebook. Just promoting on Facebook. It's not even, there's not hardly any organic whatsoever. Let's go to acquisition overview. Yeah, see, direct social organic search 15. It's not even doing anything in search really. All I'm doing is getting it indexed. I'm not even promoting it. I'm building the links on Facebook for now. And again, you can see I'm getting organic, direct and organic is the traffic for this. The key is once I get into to Google News, that's when this will start going back up. And from what we've seen from SEO Intel, it is not a lot. There's not a whole lot of traffic in SEO News. And so if I want to expand this out into some more small business stuff, I can do that. It is SEO this week though, so not like a small business trends, for example. That site's killing it, and it can dive off into different things. So, in my case, we're only SEO. So unless SEOs are actually sharing our site, it's not going to grow like monstrous. It's not going to make me $1 bajillion. But it is a good tool to see how you can leverage a news site, right? So once we put this in there, I expect this traffic trend to go in the other direction. I'm also going to put this site on my Matomo account. If you don't know what that is, it's Matomo at Matomo Analytics right here. And then once I do that, I'll be able to show you the sampling. So there's like a 20%. This is actually getting 20% more traffic than what it says it's getting from the sampling. And with Google Analytics 4, it's probably even higher than that. And so Matomo, once I get that installed, you'll be able to check that out and see the sampling stuff. And we can make some better decisions when we compare those two things together. So I think that's pretty good. The engagement overview, this is pretty cool. As you see, 1 minute, 31 seconds. That's not horrible for an information site. And I'm not writing like super long articles. So people are seeing the article, looking at the title, saying they're interested, reading it, and taking a minute or two to read it, which is, that's pretty good considering the length of the article that I'm writing. And I'm not dropping videos and all that stuff. If I put some videos up there, the engagement time would actually be probably a lot better. But you can see page views, user engagement, session starts, scrolling. People are actually reading the articles. That's really good. And then I'm getting a lot of first visits. So that's also awesome. And then hit and miss, I've been putting links in there. I got to go back and interlink these posts better. And we'll do okay with that. But yeah, I just haven't been writing. So I was writing one a day, and then now it's more like one a week, just because there's nothing really. I'm not going to make up crap. I'm not search engine journal. I'm not search engine roundtable. I'm not going to make up some garbly crap and call it the news. It's not the news if someone farts on Twitter. John Mueller farted on Twitter today, so now we have to write this article about it. I'm not doing that. I'll go find legit stuff, and we'll look at legit things and make legit arguments. And so my traffic will probably always be I'd expect that this is probably going to be my average, even after I get into Google News stuff, and I'm totally okay with that. You can optimize and convert 160 visitors to a lot of cool things that cost a lot of money and make you a lot of money. So I'm totally cool with that. I would like to see more, but we'll see how that goes and how this whole project progresses. So, anyone got any random questions this week? I don't know. Let's see. Daniel, thank you. Good morning. I appreciate you coming. Justin, in baby. Not even entirely sure what that means. In baby. In baby. There. That might be it. I mean, that's what she said. In baby. Just made that weird. Yeah, I think that's it. There's no more updates for SEO this week. I'm gonna do some new. I gotta get the other videos in there. I think we got episode 1 and 2 in there, but I wanted to get the schema stuff done. So I'll get the schema template done, and then we'll start pushing the videos in there, and then we'll think about actually pushing those out to the podcast again and keeping that alive. But I gotta find an audio person because doing that myself is not an option anymore. But I'll get someone who can actually, download the videos and pull the audio and clean that up a little bit and then upload it to the podcasting service, which I might have to change because I'm using what is it? Audello? No, it's not Audello. Yeah, Audello. I'm using Audello. And those guys, the owners, just kind of abandoned the project. I mean, the system still works. They haven't shut it off, thank goodness. But there's no all the UI and all that stuff is all half busted, etc. So I'm probably going to find a new podcasting host. So if you're listening to this and you know a good podcasting host, let me know, and I can transition over and get the iTunes, SoundCloud, and Spotify all cut up because we're already submitted. We're already approved. We're already publishing. We're just behind, and we'll get that knocked out. All righty. Nice, good 30-minute episode. I appreciate all you coming. If you have any questions, again, leave them in the comments box or come next week and we'll answer. And enjoy your week. This has been SEO This Week. Thank you very much for coming.